to that Florida shooting. He was talking about how it's everyone's responsibility here to do something on guns. This is what he said a short time ago on social media. He said this: "Whether we are Republican or Democrat, we must now focus on strengthening background checks." So this sounds a little bit like the Donald Trump of yesterday, when he was for strong background checks before he announced he was running for president. You remember back in 2000 when he was running for the Reform Party, or thinking about running as a Reform Party candidate? He was for gun control. Of course, all that has been changed when he was running for president in 2016, strongly supported by the NRA. He essentially reversed all those positions. But it is clear the president wants to at least have a conversation or be engaged in this conversation on guns. Less clear if he will actually lead his party to something here. The House and the Senate are out this week, so the president is sort of alone in these conversations. But keep an eye on that, because advisors say that they are even surprised by how interested he seems in doing something on this. Again, tomorrow here, he'll be talking to some students here at the White House, some other school leaders as well. So the new person in this equation is the president. We'll see if he leads on this, Anderson.
Yeah, we'll see how long it stays. Jeff Zeleny, thanks. As the president at least alluded to tonight, preventing another mass shooting is obviously not just a federal responsibility. States make gun laws, and today, with their grief still raw, Parkland students went to Florida State Capitol, where they watched, some through fresh tears, as the State House defeated a measure to ban the sale of weapons like the one that took 17 lives at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Other classmates like Sophie Whitney are on their way to Tallahassee right now, and she joins me from the route. I think Sophie, are you on a bus right now heading down there?
Yeah, we're on the bus.
So when you
we're about an hour away. When
you heard today that the Florida House voted not to consider a bill to ban assault rifles and high-capacity magazines, I'm wondering what went through your mind, because I know you haven't even gotten to the state capitol yet. Clearly, there's an uphill battle ahead of you.
To be frank, we're all super pissed about that, and don't think that we're not going to address it tomorrow when we have all the meetings with them.
Did it surprise you? I mean, it was a pretty overwhelming vote. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was an overwhelming vote to not proceed on this.
I don't even know how that's possible, considering this happened in their own state, and there are kids that are dead from their own state, along with kids that were there from our school, and they don't care.
Governor Rick Scott, obviously the governor of the Florida, held what he called an emergency meeting tonight to find solutions to protect students, and said that he'd put forth a gun policy proposal on Friday, quote, to move the needle forward. Do you buy that? Does that give you any kind of hope?
I'll have hope from the governor when I hear it myself, and when he actually takes some action on it, because he may have an A+ rating from the NRA, but he does not have an A+ rating from us.
Yeah, I should point out the vote was 36-71 today in the State House. On a national level, you know, the president announced a plan to move towards banning bump stocks, which is something that was talked a lot about after Las Vegas, then just sort of disappeared. Is that a big enough step forward in your mind?
No. They should have banned bump stocks a long time ago, and that wouldn't have prevented anyone from my school dying.
If you had the chance to introduce your own bill, I mean, what would be in it? Have you thought that far ahead? How far do you want to go?
We would address mental health. We would address background checks. We would address some kind of waiting period maybe, and we would also address banning assault rifles.
For you, that's essential. Some sort of ban on assault-type weapons.
At least make it not easy enough for an awful person to buy one with no problem at all.
Had you been involved in this issue or thought about the activism that you're now involved with prior to what happened at your school? I've talked to so many students from the school who've said that this has made them kind of rethink possibly the trajectory of their lives or the trajectory of their futures. I talked to one young life-changing for you?
Definitely. I've always been an activist for gun reform, but never in this extent. I was one of the people that would kind of forget about a mass shooting after it happened, which is awful because you don't really get how it feels until it happens to you, but we're going to make sure that nobody forgets.
There have been some, we talked to David Hogg in the last hour, and some people have been writing about him, some conspiracy websites, some far-right websites suggesting maybe he was a crisis actor, which is obviously a ludicrous notion. He's obviously a student from the school, saying that his dad, who'd been formerly with the FBI, maybe put him up to it. When you hear stuff like this, which frankly often comes out in the wake of a school shooting, does it scare you? Does it anger you? Does it diminish your desire to be involved?
Honestly, I think that the reason people are saying those things is because they're in disbelief and they're scared because there are 17-year-old kids that are way smarter than them, and David Hogg is definitely not a crisis actor, I promise.
Sophie Whitney, I appreciate your time tonight, and I know it's been a long trip for you, and we'll continue to follow you. Thanks so much, Sophie.
Thank you for having me. I
want to get to the panel. With me at the table tonight: Kirsten Powers, Jack Kingston, Van Jones, Alice Stewart, Ryan Lizza, and Jeff Toobin. Kirsten, when Sarah Sanders said today that the president did not try to use the Florida school massacre to attack the Mueller probe, that's just not true. I mean, when he said that, when he made a link between the FBI FBI agents spending too much time focusing on Russia, not enough time because they were spending, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it's exactly what he said. I mean, Jason Miller last
Florida last week, as well as some that hope they never have to go through that. We'll have a number. As well as some that hope they never have to go through that. We'll have a number.
situation where he has the opportunity.
Florida last week, as well as some that hope they never have to go through that. We'll have a number.
Matter. Why does
yeah.
it even matter? I mean, if
I'll tell you what
let me just ask a question. If there is a group of people who are supportive of what they want to do, what would be wrong with them?
Florida last week, as well as some that hope they never have to go through that. We'll have a number.
It out there, you're sprinkling out there that maybe these kids are illegitimate, and that's wrong.
Okay,
Absolutely, that is right.
okay,
You're
let's
putting
take a break.
words in my
We're
mouth.
going to continue this conversation. It's important. One more on the efforts of these students in Florida and around the country, more on the politics of doing anything about this epidemic of mass killings. Later, the president's claimed that he's done more in a year on Russia than the Obama administration did in 8. We'll talk to former CIA and NSA director about that.
Ceremony.
receive exceptional offers.
If your moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's symptoms are holding you back, and your current treatment hasn't worked well enough,
this is where life expresses.
Florida last week, as well as some that hope they never have to go through that. We'll have a number.
up to the 2016 campaign. And while the response to that was also far from perfect, and you could argue it was insufficient, President Obama did in fact take action. We and others have reported on this extensively, the intelligence community reaching a consensus that Russians were interfering in the election and doing it by the summer of 2016 to benefit candidate Trump. The president confronting Vladimir Putin about it at the G20 summit in September, letting Putin know we were aware of the attacks but not trumpeting the threat publicly because, ironically enough, then candidate Trump had begun suggesting that if he lost, it was because the election was rigged against him. So President Obama kept quieter than perhaps he should have out of concern he'd affect the outcome. Today, President Trump returned the favor with these two tweets misrepresenting something President Obama said about candidate Trump's rigging elections. Quoting President Obama, the president tweeted, "There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections. There's no evidence that has happened in the past or that it will happen this time, and so I'd invite Mr. Trump to stop whining and make his case to get votes." The second tweet continues, the President Obama quote just before election, "That's because he thought crooked Hillary was going to win and he didn't want to rock the boat. When I easily won the Electoral College, the whole game changed and the Russian excuse became the narrative of the Dems." Again, keeping them honest, President Obama was actually not talking about Russia at all in that statement. He was scolding candidate Trump for suggesting the Democrats or others in this country might be rigging the election against him. Also in September 2016, top intelligence officials briefed Republican and Democratic congressional leaders but met resistance from Senate Majority Leader McConnell, perhaps for partisan reasons, but perhaps simply because he, like President Obama, did not that he means it. The president later walked that back, saying he only believes that Putin believes it. But still, the instances are vanishingly rare of this president simply saying what his own intelligence community says, that Russia interfered in the last election and is still at it now. Which is strange when you consider how much weight the president, and before that candidate Trump, put on naming your adversary.
To solve a problem, you have to be able to state what the problem is, or at least say the name. The name is there. It's radical Islamic terror. We have a president that refuses to use the term.
Another event happens. I keep saying, I wonder if he's going to say it this time. And he doesn't say it. He won't say it. He won't say it.
He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to mention the term. He doesn't.
And headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Are you hiring great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates. Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
Friends, colleagues, gather here are the world's finest insurance experts. Robbing mastermind discounts like Safe Driver, Paperless, the list goes on.
How about a discount along with?
Gold. Mara, you save our customers hundreds for switching almost effortlessly.
It's a gift.
And Jamie.
Present.
Together, we are unstoppable. So, what are we gonna do? Insurance. That's kind of what we do here.
Dial your binge watching up to 11. Ow! Join the Uncarrier right now and get 4 unlimited lines for only $35 each. Whoa! Plus Netflix for the whole family on us. So they get their shows.
Let's go, girl.
You're gonna love this bit. And you get yours. Watch however you want on your phone, tablet, or TV. For a limited time, get 4 lines for just $35 per line with no extra charges. It's showtime. All on America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile.
What will you discover with the new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor? Sharper vision, without limits. Days that go from sun up to sundown. A whole world in all its beauty. 3 innovative technologies for our ultimate in vision, clarity, and protection. Together in a single lens. The new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor. Purchase the Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of qualifying lenses free.
Now ADT can help protect your family at home and on the go. Call today and get ADT's best offer. An ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with any ADT security system.
Even as survivors of the Parkland school shooting have been standing up and speaking out and demanding action to prevent the next mass killing, they've also just gotten a bitter reminder that activism is neither easy nor simple. Late this afternoon in Florida's capital, Tallahassee, the State House rejected a ban on AR-15 style weapons and large capacity magazines.
The next step of someone with an assault rifle here in Florida is going to be on them. It's going to be on them, and it's going to be their fault that those people are dead.
That was Cheryl Acquaroli. She joins us along with classmate Spencer Blum. Cheryl, I know you were in the gallery when the Florida House voted down the motion to take up the ban on assault weapons. I'm wondering what went through your mind when you heard that?
Well, I wasn't surprised. It didn't come as a shock to me. It was just so heartbreaking to see how many names were up there, especially after it was my school, you know, and just seeing the amount of people who had no concern. It seemed almost heartless how they just immediately pushed the button to say no, and it was just, I knew that it wasn't going to go through, but I guess I didn't expect how many people didn't want safety with guns.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer, the final vote wasn't even close. It lost 36 to 71. I'm wondering, for you, what message do you think that sends to those like yourself affected last week?
You know, personally, I think that the people who are our representatives, we elected them to represent us in the state legislature, and if that's how they want to represent us, the people who just went through a school shooting and survived a school shooting, that's unacceptable. That's not representing us. We need to get new representatives who will represent us and share the same views that we do.
Cheryl, I mean, to those who voted against the motion, I guess, what would you want to say to them if you could?
The next death of someone with an AR-15 is going to be on you.
You really believe that?
Yes, I do believe it, because they had a chance to stop it today. And if there is another mass shooting, it's going to be their fault. If there is another mass shooting here in Florida, it's going to be their fault, because they had a chance today. They had a chance to stop it, and they threw that chance away.
Spencer, I understand that Florida's Governor Rick Scott just announced at a roundtable he's holding that he plans to put forth a gun policy proposal on Friday, in his words, to move the needle forward. He did this after listening to school safety leaders, he says, and Parkland students. It's not clear what he actually means by moving the needle forward, but I'm wondering if you trust the governor to do anything significant addressing gun control.
Not in the slightest. All politicians said that we're going to do something about this. They said that after Sandy Hook. Oh, this is such a tragedy, is what they said after Pulse. Never again, it's just Las Vegas. Oh my God, so horrible. But after all of these tragedies that all had an AR-15, now it's our school. If they really cared and they really wanted to do something, they had their chance. And today was another chance. And their chance is gone. It shows that they don't care about us.
Cheryl, have you thought about what you plan to do now in terms of activism? Because obviously seeing this today, seeing it up close, I know you said you didn't expect it to go through, but you know, the sheer numbers of votes against it, if it, you know, does it make you less, does it make you not want to continue activism? Does it make you more determined? What happens then?
It made me so much more determined to become a true activist. I'm going to do everything in my power to get those around me to vote correctly, vote the people who don't represent us out of office.
It sounds like what happened at your school has sort of changed your perspective, or changed perhaps the trajectory of, you know, your career, what you're thinking about for your life. Do you think it's fair to say that?
Yes, definitely. I wanted to be an artist up until now, but now I'm thinking of going into politics, which is something I never thought I would do up until 2 weeks ago.
Well, Cheryl and Spencer, I know it's been a long couple of days for you, and I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, just ahead, speaking of kids at Stoneman Douglas High School, one of them is coming under attack from right-wing websites for criticizing President Trump in the wake of the shootings. And that is only part of the story. A lot of conspiracy theories being hatched. More when we continue.
And not change.
Decisions. On the dark web, identity thieves have their pick of personal information, cheap. And with data breaches on the rise, they can get their hands on even more. But now you can protect yourself with Experian. Find out right now if your identity's already been compromised with a completely free dark web scan at Experian.com/free. Experian, identity protection has a new identity.
Land Rover, above and beyond.
You've got the power to do things your way. You have goals and you get them done. Hydroxycut, America's #1 selling weight loss brand. So you can lose weight your way.
Introducing Dell Cinema, technology with incredible color, sound, and streaming. Just as the creators intended. Up to 40% off at Dell.com.
At Inspirato, we believe adventure doesn't mean venturing into a stranger's house. Taking time off doesn't mean taking chances. Because the world's most stunning vacation homes aren't just rented. They're a carefully crafted experience, a source of inspiration that lasts. Managed, staffed, and unlocked by Inspirato.
He is a provider and a punisher, a sinner and a healer. He serves everyone, but answers to only one.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to Readers.com. With more than 700 styles to choose from, in powers ranging from 1.0 to 7.0. Readers.com also has readers hard to find in stores, like bifocals, sun readers, and computer readers. Choose from hundreds of fashionable styles and colors for under $20. Then just type in this coupon code at checkout, and you'll save up to 40% through this exclusive TV offer. Order now and we'll quickly deliver your readers right to your door. Plus, all of our readers are absolutely worry-free because they're backed by our 100% happiness guarantee. Save up to 40%. Get convenient, fast delivery and a 100% happiness guarantee. So go online to Readers.com to find your perfect pair of reading glasses for under $20. Don't miss this exclusive TV offer to save up to 40% now. Go to Readers.com and enter this coupon code at checkout. That's Readers.com.
The Radical Story of Patty Hearst. New episode Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Midnight, the drug-free way to get the sleep you need.
When you can't sleep, no matter what you try, take drug-free Midnight any time of night. A good morning starts with Midnight.
There were 4 more funerals in Florida today, 4 funerals of children, students from Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School killed in last week's shooting. Kara Loughran, she was 14 years old. Gina Montalto was also 14. Carmen Schentrup, she was 16, and Peter Wang, he was 15. The U.S. Army is awarding heroism medals to Peter Wang and 2 other victims, Elena Petty and Martin Duque Anguiano. Those 3 were all students in the school's Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps program, ROTC. Separately, West Point says it will posthumously offer acceptance into a future class for Peter Wang, something his family says was a lifelong dream. This while students from the school were busing to the state capital, Tallahassee, in Florida for the gun control vote. The Florida Sun-Sentinel says many of the kids went straight to the buses from the funerals. Something else has been happening as these kids buried their friends. Some sick conspiracy theories have been cropping up. This is one of them. An aide to a Florida state representative emailed out a picture of a CNN interview with students David Hogg and Emma Gonzalez to the Tampa Bay Times Washington bureau chief, who then tweeted it out. The aide wrote from his state email account, no less, quote, "Both kids in the picture are not students here, but actors that travel to various crises when they happen." The aide is named Benjamin Kelly. His boss is Republican Sean Harrison, who had Kelly fired immediately after. The right thing to do, certainly. The whole idea of crisis actors is an accusation we've seen pop up time and time again from alt-right and far-right conservative and conspiracy websites. The fact that what would possess Benjamin Kelly to say that in the first place is stunning, where he would get such a ridiculous idea. And as I said, the reality is most recently from the Sandy Hook shootings. The whole sick crisis actors business came up there as well. And just as a reminder, 20 young children lost their lives there, first graders and 6 adults. To be clear, David Hogg and Emma Gonzalez are not actors. They are students who lived through the Parkland school attack and are now empowered to fight for change. David has been on CNN, and yes, the 17-year-old has been critical of the president, but he's also said this.
My message to lawmakers in Congress is please take action. Ideas are great. Ideas are wonderful, and they help you get reelected and everything. But what's more important is actual action and pertinent action that results in saving thousands of children's lives. Please take action.
Well, that was way too much, it seems, for a right-wing website called Gateway Pundit. Its piece ended its comments with this, quote, "Why would the child of an FBI agent be used as a pawn for anti-Trump rhetoric and anti-gun legislation because the FBI is only looking to curb your constitutional rights and increase their power? We've seen similar moves by them many times over. This is just another disgusting example of it." Not to be outdone, another extremist website, this one called True Pundit, also chimed in, quote, "Outspoken Trump-hating school survivor, son of FBI agent. MSM helps prop up incompetent bureau." MSM, obviously, is us, mainstream media. Why we'd want to, quote, prop up the FBI is not exactly clear, and for the record, I never got my mainstream media memo to do it. Anyway, True Pundit also said this about 17-year-old David Hogg. If Hogg knew the shooter would snap, as he and other students have professed, perhaps he could have told his father about it. Oh, but wait, his father was in the FBI. It would not have mattered anyway. That's the funny thing about the limelight, kid. Often the lights can come crashing down on your head. Charming, but not actually the end. Someone calling themselves Thomas Paine retweeted the whole True Pundit article, and this part's important because while we'd normally be reluctant to even give these conspiracy theories any oxygen at all, it's what happened next that makes it newsworthy, because the person who hit the like button on the Thomas Paine tweet was none other than the president's own son, Don Jr. We'd love to talk to Don Jr. about why he did that, why he is, by extension, attacking these kids who just buried their friends, but it turns out he's in India promoting his father's real estate empire. So no Don Jr. tonight, but David Hogg and his father, Kevin, who, by the way, actually was in the FBI, could make time to talk about it. David, Kevin, appreciate you being with us. David, first of all, that Donald Trump Jr. is liking tweets espousing a conspiracy theory involving you and your dad. I'm wondering what goes through your mind when you hear that?
I'm just so sorry that these people have lost their faith in America, because I know I certainly haven't. The fact that these people refuse to believe that something like this could happen is something that all of us don't want to believe, but the sad truth is that it is. These people saying this is absolutely disturbing, and I'm not an actor in any sense, way, shape, or form. I am the son of a former FBI agent, and that is true. But as such, it is also true that I go to Stoneman Douglas High School, and I was a witness to this. I'm not a crisis actor. I'm somebody that had to witness this and live through this, and I continue to have to do that. But I'm also that it's unbelievable to me that these people are even saying this, and the fact that Donald Trump Jr. liked that post is disgusting to me, but it's also false in terms of the sense that these people keep saying that I'm anti-Second Amendment. I'm not. I want every American to be able to own a gun that has a mentally stable mind, a person that has a credible background that doesn't have any previous major convictions, and somebody that's not going to go out and commit these atrocities, because those are the people that are at fault here. I do not want to take away the constitutional rights of American citizens in the same way that with freedom of speech you can't say something that causes direct danger. I want that to be the same way, you know how you can't say there's a fire in a crowded movie theater. I want it to be the same way with the Second Amendment. People can still use the Second Amendment We just want to have more safety checks in place to make sure these insane people don't get these guns.
David, I mean, again, I hesitate to do this, but I want you to be able to respond. I wanted to just read you part of another tweet that Donald Trump Jr. liked. It read, quote, "Could it be that this student is running cover for his dad, who works as an FBI agent at the Miami field office, which botched the tracking down the man behind the Valentine Day massacre?" Just wondering, just connecting some dots. Again, the president's son tweeted that out, or liked that. I just want to, again, give you a chance to respond to that sort of thing.
The fact that these people are being critical of me as a as a witness and partially as a victim to this incident and having to witness this and live through it again and again, it's unbelievable. And the fact that some of the students at Stoneman Douglas High School are showing more maturity in political action than many of our elected officials is a testament to how disgusting and broken our political system is right now in America. But we're trying to fix that, because unlike those people that are tweeting that stuff about me, and unlike the people that are tweeting the stuff about my dad, I haven't lost hope in America, and my dad certainly hasn't either. Because I know that that the people at the FBI are hard workers, and I acknowledge that my dad was a former agent. I'm not acting on anybody's behalf. I think it's hilarious that people think that my dad literally walks the dog every day and just talks about that. Half the time I've come home finding him he's fallen asleep and he's snuggling with my dog watching Netflix.
So there's no way. I don't know how they believe that there's such thing. My career has been perfect. I've gone it through. I was a Navy pilot before, then I was an elementary school teacher. I have a California credential. I moved on and I got into the FBI and was very proud of it, and I still am. The FBI has provided me a chance to go to Southeast Asia with these trips where we would teach these other countries, Dhaka, Bangladesh, all over Southeast Asia and the Philippines, Cambodia, these crime scene management courses. Come back, I've worked in any of these major cases. One of the tweets or something that went through here, I saw that it claimed that, it claimed that I was involved with something, and there's no way. I don't know why they would say that.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm wondering what you think of your son's activism. I mean, he's incredibly well-spoken. I know he's a student journalist at the school. He actually recorded interviews with some of his fellow students, with a girl named Isabel, during while they were in hiding, which I saw, which I just thought showed incredible presence of mind. And as somebody who is always looking for future journalists, he certainly seems to have that as a possible career ahead of him. I'm wondering what you think of your son getting involved in this way.
Well, David's always been someone to learn at his own time pace and then take over the situation and move out and really do good things with it. For example, I bought him a Nikon camera when he was younger, hoping he wouldn't break it, and he never did break it. But to him, that's a piece of responsibility. He's learning how to deal with responsibility. He's carried that through. He's had very successful with anything he's chose to do, and he's very driven. He's much more well-spoken than I am. But, there's nothing significant other than us ribbing each other all the time. How you doing? Oh.
I just think that I have to take this tone because our politicians won't. It's disgusting, the fact that so many people think that this is true, and it's honestly pretty sad that people have lost that much faith in America. I support the Second Amendment, but in the same way that I support the freedom of speech, I don't want people putting in a clear and present danger involving the Second Amendment, because we have a right to live, just like we have a right to bear arms.
Well, David Hogg, Kevin Hogg, I appreciate your time tonight. I'm sorry you're coming under attack in this way, and I wish you the best, both of you. Thank you.
I'm not worried about it. They can bring it on. It's a joke.
Yeah.
They want to ask questions. I hope they do.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you both. I appreciate it. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night when the students of Stoneman Douglas speak out in a live CNN town hall. It's called Stand Up, hosted by Jake Tapper. It airs tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Just ahead, now that there have been multiple indictments, just who are these so-called unwitting Americans whom Russian trolls allegedly targeted during the 2016 presidential election campaign? CNN's Drew Griffin went looking for answers.
BS.
Actually infiltrated.
BS. And please report that. I don't believe that. That's bull.
As long as there is fear, as long as there is curiosity, as long as there are undiscovered corners of the earth, and as long as there is willingness and desire, then you are capable of more. Hurry in to test drive the all-new BMW X3 today and receive exceptional offers.
Smile, Dad.
I take medication for high blood pressure and cholesterol, but they may not be enough to protect my heart.
Adding Bayer aspirin can further reduce the risk of another heart attack.
Because my second chance matters.
Be sure to talk to your doctor before you begin an aspirin regimen.
I've seen lots of homes helping new customers bundle and save big, but now it's time to find my dream abode.
Right away, I could tell his priorities were a little unorthodox.
Keep going. Stop. A little bit down. Stop. Back up again. Is this adequate sunlight for a Komodo dragon?
Yeah.
Sure, I want that discount on car insurance just for owning a home, but I'm not compromising.
You're taking a shower?
Water pressure's crucial, Scott. It's like they say, location, location, koi pond.
They don't say that.
Hiring was always a huge challenge. Endless hours on job sites with not a lot to show for it. Then, I found ZipRecruiter. They figured out hiring. I post my job, they put it all over the web, and they send me the right people, because their technology is smart. ZipRecruiter often sends me the right person in 24 hours.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/smartest.
What will you discover with the new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor? Sharper vision, without limits. Days that go from sun up to sundown. A whole world in all its beauty. 3 innovative technologies for our ultimate in vision, clarity, and protection. Together in a single lens. The new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor. Purchase the Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of qualifying lenses free.
The deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook. The students of Stoneman Douglas speak out to demand action and an end to the violence once and for all. Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper. Tomorrow evening, 9 Eastern.
Hey, be good, kiddo. I gotta go to work. I love you. Bye.
Dog home alone all day? Who knows what they'll get into? A day without a walk is a sad day for your dog. But now you can make your dog's day with WAG, the on-demand dog walking app. Get a WAG-certified walker to walk your dog at a moment's notice. WAG walks are insured and bonded. And WAG walkers are vetted, experienced dog handlers who'll give your dog the affection and attention they deserve. WAG has live GPS tracking and will even tell you where your dog marks its territory.
My dog poop.
WAG, the #1 on-demand dog walking app. Get your first walk free when you download the app now.
American Dynasties, The Kennedys, premieres Sunday, March 11th at 9 on CNN.
When the Mueller indictments came down last Friday, a key element was that Russian trolls allegedly succeeded in enticing unwitting Americans to take part in electioneering, including supporting the candidacy of Donald Trump. CNN senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin went looking for some of those Americans, and here's what he found.
BS.
She may well be one of the unwitting Americans, Trump supporters who helped the Russian internet trolls infiltrate U.S. communities by spreading Russian-made messages without knowing it. Lauren Goldfarb, who still runs the Team Trump Broward Facebook page, thinks that's all BS, right down to the timing of when Robert Mueller decided to release his indictments.
I think it's a cover-up. That's my opinion. They're covering up for their blunder on the shooting that was done at the high school.
One group the Russians operated under was called Being Patriotic, calling themselves an online community. They were actually Russian internet trolls, according to the FBI, trying to direct unwitting Americans to holding rallies, posting Russian-made anti-Hillary Clinton messages, even telling them what to print on their homemade signs. According to the indictment, the Russians, under the online name Being Patriotic, encouraged Trump supporters to stage a flash mob on August 20th, and the Team Trump Broward group responded. Lauren Goldfarb posted the information for the Fort Lauderdale flash mob on the Facebook page she still runs. Co-chair of the Team Trump Broward, Dolly Rump, was there, holding a crooked Hillary sign. Dolly Rump wouldn't talk to CNN. Her husband told us by phone, "We are disgusting and not to bother them." Lauren Goldfarb told us, "We are fake news, part of the cover-up." But what part of it in this is a cover-up? What, are you saying that's not true, or what?
The Russians, I don't care if they were involved or not, that to me is the least important thing.
But they were involved with you. Did you guys know that?
They weren't involved with us. That's, you know, just make sure that you report it correctly, that, you know.
But you guys were involved with being patriotic, right?
Very, very patriotic, but not...
Being Patriotic was the group that contacted and helped organize some of these activities that you posted on your own Facebook account.
Those were legitimate.
Those were Russians.
They were not Russians. I don't go with the Russians.
That
Come on,
group
give me
was Russian.
I have nothing to do with the Russians.
Well, apparently you did.
No.
Even though the indictment says the Russians organized the rally, Ms. Goldfarb says she never communicated with any Russians, and no one at any of her events were anything but Americans for Trump. The Russians, pretending to be Trump organizers, also reached out to Harry Miller in Boynton Beach, Florida, paying him to build a cage large enough to hold an actress depicting Clinton in prison uniform. He did just that, appearing at rallies. On Friday, Miller, who now lives in Pennsylvania, tweeted, "This is the cage the Russians paid for." By phone, he says he learned about his unwitting involvement from the FBI, and now believes it was Russians who called him on the phone, paid him between $500 to $1,000 to build his cage.
How could you be embarrassed? They had that beautiful website. They very supportive of the candidate. There was nothing at all to lend you to think that it's anything other than people trying to support a candidate.
The Russians weren't just recruiting unwitting Trump supporters. As CNN reported last October, a group calling itself Black Fist turned out to be Russians, trying to infiltrate black communities and seed social unrest. Other groups were encouraged by Russian internet trolls to hold protests against police, for and against immigrants, sometimes encouraging both at the same location to increase the possibility of violence. The indictment also reveals this post-election protest outside New York's Trump Tower was organized by Russians on Facebook. It grew so large, even CNN covered it. Michael White, one of the original Occupy Wall Street organizers, says he believes he was contacted by Russian trolls in May of 2016. He worries about the long-term effects.
If it is true that a Russian-created activist group is indistinguishable from an American-created activist group, that will have negative impacts on our ability to create social movements that are positive, that actually benefit ourselves and not some sort of foreign power. So that
people will always be wondering, well, is this a real event?
And I think that may have been part of the goal of the Russian thing.
To Florin Goldfarb, there is no Russian thing. It is all, as she repeatedly told us, BS.
BS. And please report that. I don't believe that. That's bullshit. I know all the people that were with me, okay? They were at my meetings. They're all Trump supporters, okay?
Mm-hmm. But did you realize that you guys were in communication electronically with Russians?
Not me. I don't know.
You were posting stuff on the Facebook.
Hillary Clinton was, and so was all her bandits.
Some of the stuff that you were in charge of the Facebook account, right? You were posting and reposting almost word for word the information that was coming out of this Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg.
No.
You don't believe that?
Nope. It's bullshit. Thank you.
So clearly she does not believe the Russians were involved, as the Department of Justice says they were. The guy who built the Hillary Clinton cage, he does.
Absolutely. He spent 5 to 6 hours with the FBI, he told us. He's convinced it was Russians now that he was talking to on the phone, not Trump people. He actually told me, though, the accent sounded Muslim to him, whatever that is. That's what he said. And he applauded what he believed at first were these first-generation immigrants supporting Trump. He was fooled, Anderson, no doubt about it.
And he still supports the president, obviously.
He does, but not as enthusiastic as you might assume. He tempered his comments on the phone, saying he likes how Trump has restructured the economy. He struggled to support some of the hostile comments the president keeps making, but explained to me that, he says, is how blue-collar America talks, and Anderson, you and I don't understand that.
That's what he was saying. All right, Drew, thanks very much. With me now, retired CIA Chief of Russia Operations and CNN National Security Analyst Steve Hall. Steve, I mean, these 13 Russian individuals may have been named in the Department of Justice's indictment, but we know it's Russian interference doesn't end with them. I mean, there's Russian bots still pushing divisive hashtags, apparently accounts on social media even now.
Yeah, Anderson, I mean, it's as it always has been, a multi-pronged attack. And now that we're learning more, thanks to the work that's being done by DOJ and Mueller's team and others, we're seeing exactly how deep this goes. 13 people actually dispatched to come to the United States. This is not a virtual thing that's done online. I mean, for context, imagine that this is pre-World War II. And the President of the United States finds out that a bunch of Germans came to the United States to try to find out information about what was going on here, our infrastructure, how to make us fight with each other. I mean, would FDR have said, well, what was my predecessor doing about this? A lot of people say active wars is too strong and it's too hyperbolic. I'm not sure that it is. This is foreign agents dispatched to this country to try to enact, I think, an act of at least hostility, if not war. Weaken our democracy, and that's really serious stuff that needs to be done. More needs to be done, and I'm not sure a whole lot is being done. And so I fully anticipate that in the future, the elections later this year, we're going to see more of it.
I mean, that's obviously been the criticism of President Trump, that he is not sort of spearheading the efforts. The FBI says they're doing stuff, but they have not been directed by the president specifically. The reporting is that there's been no cabinet-level meeting about this. Some Trump supporters have said, well, look, that doesn't matter as long as Mike Pompeo, the CIA, is focusing on this and the FBI is focusing on this. Do you believe that, while individual efforts from the CIA or the FBI, that there does need to be coordination from the top, from the president?
Sure. I mean, if for no other reason than symbolically to the men and women who are working at CIA, FBI, NSA, Homeland Security, they need to know that there is not, any wishy-washiness at the top. Look, folks at CIA are going to continue to collect and analyze the intelligence that is obtained with regard to Russia. The FBI, in both its law enforcement role as well as its intelligence role, will continue to do their thing, because these people are professionals. But you have to have, again, basic leadership. This comes close to being a time of war. I mean, we know that a hostile nation is now engaging in asymmetric warfare by using their own phraseology. These are things they know they can't go against us conventionally. NATO is too strong. Nobody wants to get into a nuclear war. This is Russia's new version of a war against the United States and Western democracies writ large. And to have the leader of the free world, President Trump, sort of sit back and take it all personally because, oh my God, we don't want to talk about something that might imply that I wasn't legitimately elected. I can't risk that. I can risk the rest of the country, but I can't risk that. It's outrageous.
It is amazing how personally he takes it. I mean, he portrays himself as a leader of strength, but it is a sign of weakness that frankly can be exploited by others, that he can't separate himself from, what should be done for the country. He can't separate it as being somehow criticism of himself and delegitimizing his election, which no one seems to be saying it is.
Look, in my assessment, Anderson, this president is an opportunist. He doesn't care about the Republican Party. He doesn't really care about the Democratic Party. And I don't think he really cares about Putin or the Russians. I mean, it's all, what is it, what's in it for me? How can I keep the questions going away from the legitimacy of my election? And, if we have to sacrifice national security, so be it.
Steve Hall, thank you very much. Coming up, it seems to be the president's default move. When in doubt, blame Obama. He's doing it again on Russia. We'll speak with presidential historian Douglas Brinkley to see if the attacks on his predecessor are unprecedented and unpresidential. That's next.
Everyone has a thing. That binge watch over the weekend thing. That back from the dead or robot cowboy thing. Or maybe it's watching satisfyingly satisfying thing.
Organic avocado on everything thing.
Doing it yourself or tagging a friend thing. More checking in or checking out things. Like far out of this world things.
Far out.
More revolutions in the making thing.
That play like a girl thing.
Is it a for your eyes only thing?
More of a no role models thing. A triple double thing.
Is he the GOAT thing? Nah, not that GOAT thing. No. More saving the world from the darkness thing. That selfie game strong thing. That four-legged friends thing. AT&T gives you more for your thing. More entertainment, internet, and unlimited plans. More for your thing. Yeah, that's our thing.
Are you hiring great people or hoping for great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. It's no wonder over 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring.
Indeed.com just gives me so many more qualified applicants to choose from.
Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates, so you can hire faster.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Does it get any better than that? I don't think so.
To accelerate your hiring, Indeed offers premium placement to give your listing more exposure to relevant job seekers, which allows you to hire even faster. And right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Redeem now at Indeed.com/TV1. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
Now ADT can help protect your family at home and on the go. Call today and get ADT's best offer, an ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with any ADT security system.
The epic saga continues.
This group was not done. They had further intent to kill individuals and just create havoc.
Witness the incredible turn of events that led to the capture of Patty Hearst.
Patty gives the revolutionary salute even when she's in handcuffs.
People wanted Patty to do jail time. She was more unpopular than the Boston Strangler.
The radical story of Patty Hearst concludes Sunday at 9 on CNN.
I'm not cut out for an office job, so I prefer working in public cafes and in co-working places. Sharing same Wi-Fi spots can lead to some really serious invasions. VPN gives me peace of mind when I use unsecured public networks.
Did you know that your internet service provider can see what websites you visit? And they can track your exact location? That's insane. Who'd like that kind of surveillance?
The concern that we have is that they can actually spy on our activities online and then sell that information to the highest bidder.
Including the information about our kids who basically live on the internet. I mean, they can track the exact location of where my kid is.
Yes, which is why we use VPN to protect all our family devices from such invasive surveillance.
Protect yourself. Get NordVPN for only $4 a month. Visit nordvpn.com/TV now.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
President Trump keeps punching back on the notion he's not tough on Russia. Much tougher than President Obama. He tweeted about this today, saying, quote, "I've been much tougher on Russia than Obama. Just look at the facts. Total fake news." This, of course, was parroted by Sarah Sanders today as well at the briefing. The truth is not so much. Here's a good look at the actions taken by both presidents over the recent years. The scales, such as they are, come down on the side of the former president, obsessed, if you will, by comparisons. Presidential historian Doug Brinkley joins me now. Is it clear to you why President Trump focuses so much on, I mean, whether it's Obama or even Hillary Clinton?
Well, Trump thinks that he scores political points with it. I mean, he really began his political career saying Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States, the original sin, the whole birther story. And he got a lot of fuel from that. He was able to differentiate himself in the Republican presidential bid by taking khaki kind of hard right and anti-Obama. And he feels he just scores points with his base. I've never seen a president that just so routinely it has to say I'm better than my predecessor, and we saw it on his first major, thing with the inaugural, with the crowd size and all that.
It is interesting because, I mean, President Obama got a lot of criticism early on in his administration when he would talk about the economy and point to what happened under President Bush, and people after a certain time said, look, at a certain point, you own it, stop talking about it. I'm wondering, I mean, how common is it for presidents to criticize a former president this long, after a year in office?
It happens. I mean, Franklin Roosevelt ran on, Herbert Hoover got you into the Great Depression, Hoovervilles. FDR even took the name off of it was called the Hoover Dam, and he stripped Hoover's name off it and called it the Boulder Dam for a while. You had, Ronald Reagan went in the White House and stripped off the solar panels that Jimmy Carter put in. But after about a year, it doesn't play anymore. And Donald Trump is staying on this theme too long. It seems like what Trumpism is anti-Obamaism.
Kind of have to go into verbal gymnastics to follow up on presidential tweets that are often either just flat out incorrect or, like the tweet he said about the FBI has spent, they're spending so much time on Russian investigation. That's why they, basically intimating that's why they dropped the ball on the school shooter.
Well, exactly. The Obama administration was tough on Russia. Vladimir Putin despised Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State because she was pushing the economic embargoes. Putin's had a honeymoon with Donald Trump. But I think what really happens is any time Trump's backed into a corner, he has two boogeymen to strike at: the fake news, the mainstream media, and Barack Obama. How much of this is racial? It's hard to divide the quota, but it's the idea of taking the first African-American president and constantly saying, you failed, you didn't do anything. Unfortunately, yesterday was President's Day. New polls come out and show Barack Obama's up by 10 points, where Donald Trump's laying in the bottom of the heap with James Buchanan.
Douglas Brinkley, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Coming up, the president tweets about background checks for guns and also makes a statement on bump stocks. We'll have the latest from the White House on that.
Vibranium secured.
Well done, my king.
Is my ride ready?
Of course, big brother. But you have to hurry.
Step into the spotlight.
Show off.
Experience luxury performance that takes the crown. Presenting the all-new Lexus LS 500. Long live the king.
You wouldn't believe what's in this keister. A farmer's market, a fire truck, even a marching band. And if I can get comfortable talking about this keister, then you can get comfortable using Preparation H for any sort of discomfort in yours. Preparation H. Get comfortable with it.
You've got the power to do things your way. You have goals, and you get them done. Hydroxycut, America's #1 selling weight loss brand. So you can lose weight your way.
I love you, basement bathroom of solitude. But sometimes you stink.
Febreze Air Effects doesn't just mask, it cleans away odors. Because the things you love can stink.
Nick was born to move. Not necessarily after 3 toddlers with boundless energy. But lower back pain won't stop him from keeping up. Because at a Dr. Scholl's kiosk, he got a recommendation for our best custom-fit orthotic to relieve his foot, knee, or lower back pain from being on his feet by reducing shock and stress on his body with every step. So look out, world. Dad's taking charge. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
Dial your binge watching up to 11. Join the Uncarrier right now and get 4 unlimited lines for only $35 each. Whoa. Plus Netflix for the whole family on us. So they get their shows.
Let's go, girl.
You're gonna love this bit.
And you get yours. Watch however you want on your phone, tablet, or TV. For a limited time, get 4 lines for just $35 per line with no extra charges. It's showtime. All on America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile.
Introducing Dell Cinema, technology with incredible color, sound, and streaming. Just as the creators intended. Up to 40% off at Dell.com.
It's all pop culture trivia, but it gets pretty intense.
The new guy. Wow,
he looks exactly like me.
No.
Separated at birth much? We should switch name tags and no one would know who is who.
Jamie, you seriously think you look like him?
I'm pretty good with comparisons. Like how Progressive helps people save money by comparing rates, even if they're not the lowest. Whoa! Wow. I mean, the outfit helps, but pretty great. Look at us.
Welcome to the second hour 360 at the end of a truly remarkable day that saw, as David Gergen said in our last hour, children acting like adults and adults acting like children. On the table tonight, gunning for change, the students, not children, but young adults who are pushing lawmakers to make them safer, even as funerals for their classmates go on. Also tonight, the president says he's been tougher on Russia than President Obama. We'll put that to the test. And more on this president's obsession with the last one and the effect it's having on how he actually governs. We begin, though, with guns, kids, and new tweets from the president on the issue. CNN's Jeff Zeleny joins us now from the White House. So, Jeff, this was the first White House briefing since the shooting in Parkland. Talk about what we learned and some of the messaging from the White House on this.
Well, Anderson, it was the first briefing, and certainly it was not long enough to answer all the questions that are still hanging over the White House tonight. First and foremost, you'll remember the tweet that the president made over the weekend, essentially blaming the FBI for focusing too much on the Russia investigation to miss the warning signs in Florida. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders tried walking that back. She said, look, this was the act of a deranged individual, in her words, and she said the president essentially didn't mean that. But she went on to say that the FBI's attention on what she called a hoax, the Russian collusion situation, has dominated their time. But then she went on to say, in greater words than the president has, that Russia did indeed meddle in the election. But it was a split-screen conversation, still talking about guns as well. And that's what the president addressed from the East Room of the White House shortly after the White House press briefing. Let's watch.
Just a few moments ago, I signed a memorandum directing the Attorney General to propose regulations to ban all devices that turn legal weapons into machine guns.
So we heard the president there, really somewhat of a surprise. The White House had not telegraphed that. Of course, this is something that is coming from that Las Vegas shooting back on October of last year. The White House has not talked about banning bump stocks really at all since then. They are now putting this back in the news. Clearly, the White House wanting to be part of this conversation on guns. So you heard the president there signing a directive. Unclear exactly, though, what that will do. We're not talking about new laws here, just existing laws, Anderson.
And the president's weighing in again, I'm told, late tonight on Twitter about background checks. What's he saying?
He is indeed. Again, another sign the president has, as we were talking about over the weekend and yesterday, has been affected, at least paying attention closely to that Florida shooting. He was talking about how it's everyone's responsibility here to do something on guns. This is what he said a short time ago on social media. He said this: whether we are Republican or Democrat, we must now focus on strengthening background checks. So this sounds a little bit like the Donald Trump of yesterday, when he was for strong background checks before he announced he was running for president. You remember back in 2000 when he was running for the Reform Party, or thinking about running as a Reform Party candidate? He was for gun control. Of course, all that has been changed when he was running for president in 2016, strongly supported by the NRA. He essentially reversed all those positions. But it is clear the president wants to at least have a conversation or be engaged in this conversation on guns. Less clear if he will actually lead his party to something here. The House and the Senate are out this week, so the president is sort of alone in these conversations. But keep an eye on that, because advisors say that they are even surprised by how interested he seems in doing something on this. Again, tomorrow here, he'll be talking to some students here at the White House, some other school leaders as well. So the new person in this equation is the president. We'll see if he leads on this, Anderson.
Yeah, we'll see how long it stays. Jeff Zeleny, thanks. As the president at least alluded to tonight, preventing another mass shooting is obviously not just a federal responsibility. States make gun laws, and today, with their grief still raw, Parkland students went to Florida State Capitol, where they watched, some through fresh tears, as the State House defeated a measure to ban the sale of weapons like the one that took 17 lives at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Other classmates like Sophie Whitney are on their way to Tallahassee right now, and she joins me from the route. I think Sophie, are you on a bus right now heading down there?
Yeah, we're on the bus.
So when you
we're about an hour away. When
you heard today that the Florida House voted not to consider a bill to ban assault rifles and high-capacity magazines, I'm wondering what went through your mind, because I know you haven't even gotten to the state capitol yet. Clearly, there's an uphill battle ahead of you.
To be frank, we're all super pissed about that, and don't think that we're not going to address it tomorrow when we have all the meetings with them.
Did it surprise you? I mean, it was a pretty overwhelming vote. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was an overwhelming vote to not proceed on this.
I don't even know how that's possible, considering this happened in their own state, and there are kids that are dead from their own state, along with kids that were there from our school, and they don't care.
Governor Rick Scott, obviously the governor of the Florida, held what he called an emergency meeting tonight to find solutions to protect students, and said that he'd put forth a gun policy proposal on Friday, quote, to move the needle forward. Do you buy that? Does that give you any kind of hope?
I'll have hope from the governor when I hear it myself, and when he actually takes some action on it, because he may have an A+ rating from the NRA, but he does not have an A+ rating from us.
Yeah, I should point out the vote was 36 to 71 today in the State House. On a national level, you know, the president announced a plan to move towards banning bump stocks, which is something that was talked a lot about after Las Vegas, then just sort of disappeared. Is that a big enough step forward in your mind?
No. They should have banned bump stocks a long time ago, and that wouldn't have prevented anyone from my school dying.
If you had the chance to introduce your own bill, I mean, what would be in it? Have you thought that far ahead? How far do you want to go?
We would address mental health. We would address background checks. We would address some kind of waiting period maybe, and we would also address banning assault rifles.
For you, that's essential. Some sort of ban on assault-type weapons.
At least make it not easy enough for an awful person to buy one with no problem at all.
Had you been involved in this issue or thought about the activism that you're now involved with prior to what happened at your school? I've talked to so many students from the school who said that this has made them kind of rethink possibly the trajectory of their lives or the trajectory of their futures. I talked to one young woman earlier who was at the State House today who said she'd always thought about being an actress and now she's thinking about getting into politics. Are you thinking about this? I mean, has this been life-changing for you?
Definitely. I've always been an activist for gun reform, but never in this extent. I was one of the people that would kind of forget about a mass shooting after it happened, which is awful because you don't really get how it feels until it happens to you, but we're going to make sure that nobody forgets.
There have been some, you know, we talked to David Hogg in the last hour, and, you know, some people have been writing about him, some conspiracy websites, some far-right websites suggesting maybe he was a crisis actor, which is obviously a ludicrous notion. He's obviously a student from the school, saying that, you know, his dad, who'd been formerly with the FBI, maybe put him up to it. When you hear stuff like this, which frankly often comes out in the wake of a school shooting, does it scare you? Does it anger you? Does it diminish your desire to be involved?
Honestly, I think that the reason people are saying those things is because they're in disbelief and they're scared because there are 17-year-old kids that are way smarter than them, and David Hogg is definitely not a crisis actor, I promise.
Sophie Whitney, I appreciate your time tonight, and I know it's been a long trip for you, and we'll continue to follow you. Thanks so much, Sophie.
Thank you for having me. I
want to get to the panel. With me at the table tonight, Kirsten Powers, Jack Kingston, Van Jones, Alice Stewart, Ryan Lizza, and Jeff Toobin. You know, Kirsten, when Sarah Sanders said today that the president did not try to use the Florida school massacre to attack the Mueller probe, that's just not true. I mean, when he said that, when he made a link between the FBI FBI agents spending too much time focusing on Russia, not enough time on because they were. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it's exactly what he said. I mean, Jason Miller last night was sort of saying they were two separate thoughts, but they really weren't two separate thoughts. He was essentially saying because they are spending too much time investigating him, they dropped the ball on the shooting. But that's not really how the FBI works. They have, you know, the people who would be responsible for that and who, by all accounts, did seem to drop the ball, are in Florida. They have nothing to do with the Russia investigation, and so for him to sort of conflate it and turn it all around and mix it up and be about him, it's inaccurate and it's just completely inappropriate.
We have the original tweet, which again Sarah Sanders parroted today. Very sad that the FBI missed all the many signals sent out by the Florida school shooter. This is not acceptable. They are spending too much time trying to prove Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. There is no collusion. Get back to the basics and make us all proud. I mean, Jack, is it correct that the White House, that the spokesperson from the White House should parrot a random tweet from the president that is just factually inaccurate and just, demonstrably a lie?
Well, I think we know Sarah Sanders has so many things on the plate that this probably was not a great statement of hers, and so I think the criticism is valid, but I do think that the FBI does owe everybody an explanation here, but not just here, but if you look at Dylan Roof, the Charleston massacre, who killed 10 people, there was also a glitch in the background check, which the FBI could be helpful for. There was a situation, because he had been arrested for marijuana, he should not have been allowed to buy a gun. A guy named Kevin Neal in Texas killed 5 people, and he had also had some arrest records. And then the guy,
right, there's no doubt
Kelly,
the FBI and any law enforcement should be held responsible for any glitches
and
stuff. But it does not have anything to do, you acknowledge it has nothing to do with the Russia probe, that the FBI is spending too much time on Russia, that they dropped the ball.
No, I agree with that. And as a matter of fact, you know, Rush Limbaugh actually had said it previously. I think he said it Friday, and he was saying it, you know, as Rush Limbaugh has the ability to do those things, saying it kind of a snarky way. But
so the president's basically just repeating something that Rush Limbaugh said, and then Sarah Sanders.
No, I think what the president probably would like is to see the FBI really focus in on this and saying we just can't have this again, in a situation where you had 2 really good tips plus 36 calls to the
I get that, but I mean,
Van,
the president's lying to say that it had anything to do with Russia probe. That, I mean, there's 35,000 people who work for the FBI, and a few dozen are on the Russia probe.
So tough to see the distinction between those young people who are so clear, so forthright. Disagree with them, don't like their policies. If you feel that way, that's fine. But if you look at the character of those young people, how clear they are, how forthright they are, how much integrity they have. And then to have that right up against these presidential tweets, I mean, you couldn't imagine a more juvenile response to a mass killing of children than to use that opportunity to try to stick your finger in the eye of the people who you didn't like before anyway. This is a breakdown that can hopefully lead to a breakthrough. Those young people are extraordinary. I've been hearing marketers talking about this high school generation. They say they are very different than the college students, that there's something happening with these young people. Those young people are better spoken than most of us on television. They've never been on television before. And so if there's any hope in the country, it's in this generation that's rising. But I have not been on television since the president did. I just want to say, to stand over the bodies of children and poke your finger in the eye of your adversary is as low as you can possibly go in public life. And it's a shame that the president did that, but I'm proud of these young people.
And the thing that's bad about that tweet, not only is it factually incorrect, it takes a situation where he has the opportunity in this social media platform to once again express sympathy and thoughts and prayers, and we're going to try and fix this problem to these victims, and made it all about him, because the Russia meddling situation is all about him. That being said, I'd like to think that's going to be yesterday's news tomorrow, because we are talking about ways to stop this. We're talking about, let's make some changes to background checks. I think that girl that just spoke was spot on. She looked at, there's many aspects. The ABC Washington Post poll says, what could have prevented this? Better mental health services, stricter gun control laws, and even the possibility that they mentioned in that poll was possibly allowing teachers or school resource officers to have guns to help prevent it. But overall, more importantly, the Quinnipiac poll says 97% of Americans want stricter background checks. That is what the president is now talking about. I would imagine Governor Scott is talking about that with people there in Florida, and I do expect change.
Jack, I do want you to address something. On New Day, you said, you suggested that the students who are advocating for gun control have somehow been hijacked by left-wing groups, and that there's no way for them to rally nationwide without left-wing help.
Well, you know, I have a lot of concern of these kids. You know, I'm a father of 4, and I've been to many, many high schools all over Georgia talking to children, and you know, I think when they're in an emotional state, and they deserve to be heard, they deserve to be listened to, and I expressed that on the show also, that I believe they're sincere. This is a horrible tragedy. Their hearts are broken. But also know that the state senator from there is facilitating their bus trip up to Tallahassee, which when I was in the General Assembly, by the way, was illegal to do something like that, to pay for somebody to lobby. The Democrat Party there is doing it. But what the big...
So you think they are being hijacked by left-wing groups?
I think, and I was referring to the national rally. It would shock me, and I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, but it would shock me if 17-year-olds around the country, and Lord, I agree with you, Van, very articulate, very sincere, but it would shock me if they did a nationwide rally and the pro-gun control left
But
took
why
their
would it
hands
even
off
matter?
it.
Why does it even matter? I mean, if
I'll tell you why it matters.
Let me just ask a question. If there is a group of people who are supportive of what they want to do, what would be wrong with them working with them if they have some knowledge about how to get their message out? That's not what you're suggesting. Is somehow they're being used, like somehow people went in there and told them what to say. I mean, that's not.
Well, no,
what's happening is people are just
Which, by the way,
helping
there
get their
are
message
these
out.
allegations that they're crisis actors, which is just ridiculous.
Well, I would never say that, and did not say that today. I said their hearts were broken, which they are, and that they are sincere. I said that. But I can say this, that as Rahm Emanuel famously said, never waste a good crisis. I don't believe that the pro-gun control...
They're trying to
not
enter,
okay.
Jack, they're trying to enter into politics. They're trying to change the debate that is a political debate.
And you're going to... You've had your say. I think
you cannot criticize high school students engaging in politics or engaging in politics.
I'm not criticizing them. I'm saying...
When you were a young person and you wanted to change policy, what did you do? Jack, just give me a second. When you were a young person, I assume you became a politician because you wanted to affect change in America, right? You joined the Republican Party.
You know,
you're attacking these kids for having political allies?
One of my first forays was in...
Van, what were you going to say?
Look, I mean, when you say something like that, it's so bad, and I'm going to tell you why it's bad. First of all, these young people don't have to have anybody tell them, you, me, Democrat or Republican, anybody else, that something has to change. When we went to school, I was scared of bullies who might take my lunch money. I was not scared of getting killed. We have no ability to understand what it means to go to school every day and wonder if you're going to get killed. And these kids are worried about that. So the idea, now, if anything, the kids are using us. But I don't think we're using the kids. These
well, let's say.
Hold on,
I hope I'm wrong.
But here's the thing: it's not fair to you. It's not fair for you. You're sprinkling it out there. You're sprinkling out there that maybe these kids are illegitimate, and that's wrong.
Okay, let's take a break. We're going to continue this conversation. It's an important one. More on the efforts of these students in Florida and around the country. More on the politics of doing anything about this epidemic of mass killings. Later, the president's claimed that he's done more in a year on Russia than the Obama administration did in 8. We'll talk to former CIA and NSA director about that.
As long as there is fear, as long as there is curiosity, as long as there are undiscovered corners of the earth, and as long as there is willingness and desire, then you are capable of more.
Hurry in to test drive the all-new BMW X3 today and receive exceptional offers.
The closer you get to home, the more you know the commute is worth it. For all the work you pour into this place, you sure get a lot more out of it. You and that John Deere tractor, so versatile, you can keep dreaming up projects all the way home. It's a longer drive, but just like a John Deere, it's worth it. Nothing runs like a Deere. Now you can own a 1E subcompact tractor for just $99 a month. Learn more at your John Deere dealer.
You won't see these folks at the post office. They have businesses to run. They have passions to pursue. How do they avoid trips to the post office? Stamps.com. Mail letters. Ship packages. All the amazing services of the post office right on your computer. Get a 4-week trial plus $100 in extras, including postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/TV and never go to the post office again.
You haven't seen the sun in like forever, so you search for a beach vacation. Sunny beaches, sandy beaches, big beaches, small beaches, until you're lost, searching for surfing dogs. But then you find VRBO, and they search millions of homes to find you the perfect beach house, where you all find your own rooms and a grill bigger than your kitchen back home. And you find that watching the love of your life teach the kids how to dive warms your heart even more than the sun. From beach houses to cabins to condos, find homes that match you at VRBO.
Sup world, it's The Box with 30% savings for safe drivers. Coming at you with my brand new vlog. Just making some ice in my freezer here, so check back for that follow-up vid. This is my cashew guy, Bruno. Holler at him, Brune. Kicking it live and direct here at the Fountain. Should I go habanero or Maui onion? Should I buy a chinchilla? Comment below. Did I mention I save people $620 for switching? Chinchilla updates? Got that chinchilla after all. Say what up, Rago?
Are you hiring great people or hoping for great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. It's no wonder over 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring.
Indeed.com just gives me so many more qualified applicants to choose from.
Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates, so you can hire faster.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Does it get any better than that? I don't think so.
To accelerate your hiring, Indeed offers premium placement to give your listing more exposure to relevant job seekers, which allows you to hire even faster. And right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Redeem now at Indeed.com/TV1. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
We're talking about students taking action in the wake of the Parkland tragedy. 4 funerals today alone. Back now with the panel. We hadn't heard from Jeff.
You know, Jack is outnumbered on this panel, but he's in the majority in the United States Congress, in the state legislature of Florida, in the state legislature of most states. Gun rights are the defining issue of the Republican Party today. More than immigration, more than abortion. They are going to do nothing. They are going to do nothing, regardless of what these young people demand, because this is the issue that unites the Republican Party. Donald Trump used to be for gun control, but today, you know, maybe we'll do something about bump stocks some year. This is an issue that unites the Republican Party against any sort of regulation. You know, for 10 years in this country, guns just like this, AR-16s, were illegal. AR-15s. They were illegal. And you know what? We still had freedom in this country. But George W. Bush and the Republican Congress decided what we need under the Second Amendment is to have access to guns like this. And that's exactly what happened in 2004 after the Brady Bill expired. And that's the kind of country we have now because Republican legislators want it that way.
Well, is it wrong? I mean, to Jack's point, is it wrong if a group of students who have come out on television and been very vocal and very, well-spoken are contacted by, gun control groups and who want to help sponsor a rally?
No,
is
of
there anything
course
wrong
not.
with
That's
that?
how politics work. Jack, you make it sound like they're being tainted by the political parties, people who actually can organize and help them move legislation.
I think
CPAC is this big conservative meeting happening in Washington this week or next week. Do you know how many kids are bussed in from around the country to join CPAC and to talk about?
Let me repeat this.
But Jack, do you find all of those kids being bussed in?
They're not under duress of a horrible life-changing tragedy, and I would say for those kids, you got to give them a little space. And let me talk.
But if their parents are fine with them being involved, and if frankly being involved helps them move through grief and try to turn grief into something positive, who were we to say how somebody should grieve? I mean, what, should they stay at home and grieve, and that's the only way to grieve?
Well, let me say again, as I said this morning, I don't doubt their sincerity. Their hearts are broken. I understand that. But I also think that sometimes when somebody goes through that you don't want to inject politics into it immediately. And let me give you a couple of statistics.
You guys never say
Jack,
that.
like Jeffrey had said, let me say this.
There's a mass shooting every
You said it. Go ahead.
Jack, there's a shooting every few months. Just pretend that we're talking about guns in the wake of the Las Vegas shooting. Because did that happen long enough so we can talk about gun policy?
And you know what? Y'all haven't
if you
even
have
said
this rule that you're not allowed to talk about gun control unless it's... What's the time? 30 days, 60 days, 100 days?
The gentleman will yield. Let me say, the Republicans' House in December passed a bill sponsored by Richard Hudson that demands a 180-day review of bump stocks to look at the stats and get rid of them if necessary. It also cleans up the instant background check, which is now what Cornyn and Murphy are talking about in the Senate.
But Jeff,
and so
all the things should not
and let me say this. I want to say this because I know gun control debates fairly well, having gone through many of them. But the Democrats, Jeffrey, had the opportunity to reinstate the assault weapons ban. And they're not really assault weapons, not according to the U.S. Army. They're weapons that are, they look like, but they're semi-automatic. That might be a technical term. But why didn't the Democrats?
Should they have? Should they have?
I would say they should have if that's the belief of their party.
Should
but
they
it's
have?
Not. No, I don't think they should.
So what difference does it make if they didn't do it? You didn't think they should?
I'm raising it to say that the Democrats had the opportunity.
We had to deal with the Great Recession.
Okay, well, let's not talk over. Van, what are you saying?
We had to deal with the Great Recession in 2 wars. Everything that you guys criticize us for not doing in the 18 months that we had control of the government, it gets a little bit old. But somebody else
of all the things that we can sit here and argue all day long, but one of the most compelling things I heard from one of these students was, you weren't there. You don't know what it felt like. You weren't hiding under your desk or in a closet. You don't know what it felt like. If this helps them in their grieving process, let them get on a bus, plane, train, or automobile and go to Tallahassee.
I'm all for their ability to do that and their right to do that.
Jack, have you ever been to a pro-life rally?
Yes.
Have you ever heard a young person get up there and talk about abortion? Someone who's recently been affected by it, maybe because she had a classmate who had an abortion and she felt. You've never heard a young person in the pro-life movement as an activist?
I haven't. I'm sorry, but I haven't.
You're a Republican congressman. You're telling me right now that you've never heard of young people being involved in the pro-life movement.
That's not what you asked me. You asked me if I had heard somebody talk about their abortion.
No. Have you ever heard young people, high school students involved?
The answer is yes. Of course he's heard young people.
I mean, come on, young people involved in politics.
Ryan,
we got to take another break. We're going to take a break. We'll continue this discussion during the commercial break, apparently, and afterward. We're just going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Now ADT can help protect your family at home and on the go. Call today and get ADT's best offer, an ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with any ADT security system.
Hey, what did I come in here for again? Diapers. Diapers. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, the cart. I almost hit a woman.
Tim's ready for a new car, but what about his old one? With Kelley Blue Book, Tim can get an offer for his old car from his phone. When Tim's ready, he can take it to an instant cash offer dealer to trade in or sell his car for cash. Easy. And get a head start on finding his next car. Until then, Tim's got an offer he can trust.
All without getting out of my chair.
That's the idea. Go to KBB.com and get an instant cash offer for your car today.
No, please, help!
The running of the bold dogs? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Aaliyah saved by switching to Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You've got the power to do things your way. You have goals and you get them done. So now it's time to get the advantage with Hydroxycut. Increase energy, boost metabolism, burn calories, and lose weight. Because it's not about what anyone else thinks. Hydroxycut, America's #1 selling weight loss brand with mix and match choices. So you can lose weight your way.
I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
I have a whole speech. Thank you.
Can Bosley regrow your hair?
This is my own growing hair that I can comb, cut, style, do whatever I want with it.
The results I've achieved have been exceptional. This is my real hair. I can do with it whatever I want. This is mine.
Bosley gave me my hair back. I cut this hair. I wash this hair. I mess this hair up if I want to mess this hair up.
I can't explain to you the way that it made me feel to be able to wear my hair down, go out on a date, and have confidence again.
Can Bosley regrow your hair?
This is my hair. This is my hair.
Call or go online for your free, no-obligation self-evaluation kit. Plus, call in the next 6 minutes, and we'll even send you this $250 gift certificate. The information is free, so choose to grow back your own real hair. Choose Bosley. Call now.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news. Closed captioning brought to you by Midnight, the drug-free way to get the sleep you need.
When you can't sleep, no matter what you try, take drug-free Midnight any time of night. A good morning starts with Midnight.
Our conversation continues about young people, gun control, and politics. It seems to have lasted through the last break, so let's continue with the panel. You know, one of the things that General McChrystal said, I think he said this after the wake of one of the shootings. He said a .223 caliber round, when it hits a human body, the effects are devastating. It's designed for that. He talked about he didn't think there was any need for that kind of weaponry on the streets. It was right after Newtown. I mean, what's interesting, I think, Jack, about your comment about there should be kind of a period at which, you know, these kids are allowed to mourn and we don't focus on this and it doesn't become an issue about gun control, is I actually think we don't focus on the reality of what an AR-15 does to a child. I mean, if anyone has been on a battlefield and you've seen what a weapon like this does to a soldier, I mean, I think if people actually saw this and saw the reality of this, I mean, it would open people's eyes. I mean, we're not talking about, you know, we all say, oh, these children lost their lives. They didn't lose their lives. Their lives were ripped out of their bodies. Their brains were splattered on the floor. Their intestines are hanging out. I mean, it's sickening. Yeah. And like, we're all talking about it in this antiseptic way, and we're shocked that these kids are angry when they've been hiding in closets and their friends are dead. I mean,
And that's part of the reason that so many law enforcement people are standing with the young people and saying we do have to do something different. I mean, what the Republicans and too many conservatives are trying to do is say these Democrats they're emotional, they're irrational, they're exploiting kids because they just want to grab all of our guns. And then they're the ones who actually are being rational and sane. When in fact, the people who have to deal with this on the front lines, the kids hiding under the desks and the cops going to save them, are saying the same exact thing, that it makes no sense at all for this to be the reality in America. And they have 1,000 excuses. And I have to say, whenever this thing happens, if it's a Muslim, they want to politicize it within seconds. If it's a Mexican, build a wall. If it's a black person, more cops in prisons. But when it's a white kid, thoughts and prayers and nothing else. And that's another part of the dimension of this thing here as well. Why is it that when some people take a life, you got 1,000 political ideas, and when other kinds of people take a life, you got nothing to say, and you're mad that people are upset, and you want them to have a cooling off period. There should not be a cooling off period for these kids. And I'm going to say one last thing. I don't want to filibuster because I do want to hear from other people, but I do feel that we have a situation where a generation is terrorized. We've never had this for all the kids in America. Some neighborhoods, yes. Some racial groups, yes. You now have all the kids in America who have seen this, and they're drilling, you know, on a weekly basis about how not to have their brains blown out in their classroom. This is a national tragedy. It's an emergency. And the fact that young people are standing up, everybody should stand attention. We argued and fought because some football players wanted to kneel and beg for the killing to stop in black communities. These kids are not disrespecting any flag. They're not disrespecting any anthem. They are going down to their government, and they're petitioning for redress of grievance, their constitutional rights. And for anybody to get on their case and say, well, you're too vulnerable, sit down, shut up, and cry, and don't say anything, or you're a crisis actor. This is despicable on the parts of people in this country. And I think Republicans and conservatives, as good as you, should first, before you say anything critical of them, defend these kids from these conspiracy people who are trying to make them seem illegitimate, and don't add to their illegitimacy.
Let me say, I'm with you on that. And having not criticized the kids, I again respect their sincerity. Their hearts are broken. I am concerned that there are people in our country who do hijack grief and other causes, and as Rahm Emanuel said, never waste a good crisis. But let me give you a statistic.
That happens on both sides. Rahm Emanuel doesn't have a job.
Okay, you know what? And if you're disgusted with it on my side, you understand. But let me give you a statistic that I would like to throw out. Between 1991 was the most violent year in American crime stats. From 1991 to 2014, there were 160 million firearms purchased in America. from 91 to 2014, 160 million firearms purchased, including about 15 million AR-15s. However, the violence went down. The crime stats, the violence went down 52%. The murder rate,
suicides?
And the murder rate went down 54%.
Suicides shot up, didn't they?
I actually don't know that, but I mean,
suicides are actually on the rise.
But let me just say this: that when you look at
if you have
stat,
a gun, you're much more likely to kill yourself.
But if the conclusion going into an argument is that, you know, AR-15s or semi-automatics or whatever are bad, you have to figure out that stat. And I'm willing to say, you know what, I am confident enough that you can put gun control on the table. But would you join me about Hollywood gratuitous violence, or about video games, or about social media isolation?
Look, as a parent, I worry about that too.
I think what's really important, I think what's really important as we move forward is let's have a time for grief, and then let's take action. I think after Vegas, we did have some firm, solid conversations on bump stocks, and nothing happened.
It did happen. Don't say that, Allison.
Richard Hudson's
one at a time. Let her complete her thought. We don't need to jump on each other.
Here's the thing. I'm with you. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I'm a gun owner. I think every American has the right to own a gun, and they should if they want to, and it makes them feel safe. Here's the problem. Moving forward, if we want to, this isn't just about gun control. This is about gun violence. And to really make a difference on gun violence, we have to address how guns are purchased and how violence is provoked. And there are many factors that go into that. That goes with mental health. It goes, Hollywood is partially to blame. There are single-parent homes, no family homes that break down the American family. All of these need to be considered.
Really, I'm sorry. Hold on. So John Wayne didn't cause violence? I mean, this is ridiculous. Like the idea that somehow Hollywood is causing this. I mean, we've always had violent movies. I mean, now we're going to say that this is happening because of violence. No, this is happening because of one reason. It's the guns. It's the guns. It's the fact that they have these guns and they can mass murder people. There's a direct correlation. If you talk to people who study gun violence and mass murder, it's when these guns that you could cause, whatever you want to call them, and I'm not going to play your game, you know, that you don't call the gun with the right name or whatever. The guns where you can go in and mow down people, when those became available and people started buying them, that's when we started seeing mass murder.
Put aside
it's not
crocodile
Hollywood.
tears from the Republicans about mental health. Oh, we're so concerned about mental health. Why did Donald Trump sign an executive order in secret, not in front of anybody, to make it easier for people with mental health problems to buy guns? Why, if Republicans are so concerned about mental health, why did Rick Scott and every other Republican governor say, we don't want Medicaid, we don't want to expand Medicaid under Obamacare? If you expand Medicaid, you give people mental health services. But no, we hate Obama, we hate Obamacare. In Florida, there's no...
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I got to jump in here. We have, I'm sorry, repeat. Kushner is resisting losing access to a security clearance. New York Times has a report on that out. We'll continue with that. We're going to take a short break. We'll have that breaking news ahead.
Introducing Dell Cinema, technology with incredible color, sound, and streaming. Just as the creators intended. Up to 40% off at Dell.com.
I've seen lots of homes helping new customers bundle and save big. But now, it's time to find my dream abode.
Right away, I could tell his priorities were a little unorthodox.
Keep going. Stop. A little bit down. Stop. Back up again. Is this adequate sunlight for a Komodo dragon?
Yeah.
Sure, I want that discount on car insurance just for owning a home, but I'm not compromising.
You're taking a shower?
Water pressure's crucial, Scott. It's like they say, location, location, koi pond.
They don't say that.
I no longer live with the uncertainties of Hep C, wondering, what if? I let go of all those feelings because I am cured with Harvoni.
Harvoni is a revolutionary treatment for the most common type of chronic hepatitis C. It's been prescribed to more than 250,000 people and is proven to cure up to 99% of patients who've had no prior treatment with 12 weeks. Certain patients can be cured with just 8 weeks of Harvoni. Before starting Harvoni, your doctor will test to see if you've ever had hepatitis B, which may flare up and cause serious liver problems during and after Harvoni treatment. Tell your doctor if you've ever had hepatitis B, a liver transplant, other liver or kidney problems, HIV, or any other medical conditions, and about all the medicines you take, including herbal supplements. Taking amiodarone with Harvoni can cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects of Harvoni include tiredness, headache, and weakness.
Ready to let go of Hep C?
Ask your Hep C specialist about Harvoni.
What will you discover with the new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor? Sharper vision, without limits. Days that go from sun up to sundown. A whole world in all its beauty. 3 innovative technologies for our ultimate in vision, clarity, and protection. Together in a single lens. The new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor. Purchase the Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of qualifying lenses free.
The deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook. The students of Stoneman Douglas speak out to demand action and an end to the violence once and for all. Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper. Tomorrow evening, 9 Eastern.
Introducing FreePrints, the new free app that lets you get all those great photos off your iPhone or Android phone and into your hands in just days. FreePrints lets you print up to 1,000 4x6 photos a year absolutely free. All you pay is a small shipping and handling charge. It's easy. Just select the photos you want to print on your phone or on Facebook or Instagram, then choose the sizes and quantities, and you're done. The app is free, and so are the prints. Get FreePrints today. Just go to freeprints.tv. That's freeprints.tv.
Oh, that's old.
The milk?
No, my credit score's a month out of date.
That's why I use WalletHub. I get free credit reports and scores, and they're updated daily.
Daily updates?
Yeah, your credit score can change by 100 points in 1 week. So why use an app with stale data?
And it's really free?
Yeah, WalletHub is always free and always fresh. Fresher than this milk.
Sign up for WalletHub now for your free credit reports and scores.
American Dynasties, The Kennedys, premieres Sunday, March 11th at 9 on CNN.
There is breaking news tonight on the president's son-in-law, who's also a top advisor, who also apparently has no permanent security clearance and hasn't this entire time. We're talking, of course, about Jared Kushner and White House Chief of Staff John Kelly's effort recently to curb the access of such people to classified information. Now there's word of resistance from Kushner against Kelly. Joining us by phone is Julie Hirschfeld Davis, one of the 2 New York Times correspondent on this breaking story, which just posted. Just talk about, for our viewers who have not seen this story, talk about what you have learned.
Well, John Kelly, the chief of staff, put out a memo on Friday basically saying that he was going to change the policy now regarding security clearances at the White House. And one of the things that he's going to do going forward, he said, is to essentially revoke the security clearance, the high-level clearance that folks who are currently serving the White House have if they have not yet cleared their background check, and that's been pending for several months. He put a cutoff date of June 1st. There's some debate over whether that applies to Jared Kushner or not, but it's clear that because Jared Kushner is one of the high-level officials in the West Wing who is serving with an interim clearance, that this is going to affect him in some way. And he's been trying, as have other officials in the West Wing, to figure out how this is going to affect him exactly. And what we've learned is that he is concerned that he doesn't want to have to give up his level of clearance that he has right now, which allows him to see the presidential daily briefing and other materials. And so there's sort of this quiet internal struggle going on over whether he's going to continue to have the level of access that he has enjoyed, and whether others, and we don't know necessarily what their names are going to continue to have access to the kind of information that they have had, even though they haven't been cleared for a permanent clearance by the White House office that's in charge of doing that.
I was only able to skim your story very briefly. Part of what stood out to me is that you write about that General Kelly has been dismissive, I believe was the word you used, of Jared Kushner over some time. And I'm wondering, A, if that is true, and B, is this a particular effort against Jared Kushner in some way?
Well, General Kelly would say that this memo wasn't targeted to any one person in particular, but it has been clear for many, many months that Jared Kushner was one of the, if not the highest ranking official in the West Wing who, like Rob Porter, had an interim clearance and had access to top secret information by dint of that. And so whether or not it's the case, Jared Kushner has felt like this is targeted toward him. He has been uncertain about how it's going to affect him, and it's clear that the issuance of the memo and it becoming public on Friday put something of a spotlight on Jared Kushner because everyone knows and has known for some time, again, that he has an interim clearance. So there's a little bit of a power struggle going on. And when General Kelly came in, one of the things he was trying to get a handle on was that there were a lot of officials in the West Wing who had access to President Trump, ready access without any kind of filter, any kind of organized process around that. And Jared Kushner was chief among those people. And so he really tried to get a handle on that and try to limit it. And that has really, in some ways, crimped Jared Kushner's access to the president, and it's been a simmering tension for some time now, and I think this clearance issue has just brought that to a head.
And is it clear at this point why Jared Kushner has not been able to get a full security clearance? I mean, obviously, we know he has a lot of business dealings. There have been questions raised about, activities during the transition, his relationship with China, his desire to try to get financing for one of his company's big buildings in New York City, even during the transition. He had to amend his disclosure forms several times. Initially, hadn't put down his multiple meetings, dozens of meetings with foreign officials during the transition. Then he finally amended that. Then he had to amend it again to include I think it was the June or July meeting with Russian officials with Donald Trump Jr. He neglected to put that in his amended version. But do we know specifically why he hasn't been cleared yet for full security clearance?
Well, we don't specifically, but all the reasons that you just laid out, particularly the omissions from his original form that he submitted with all of those disclosures that were supposed to have been made in the very beginning, are a big reason. I mean, we do know that the FBI looks for out-and-out lies. They look for things that have been excluded that shouldn't have been excluded. And Jared Kushner's legal team has said from the beginning that these were, that he didn't intend to exclude anything. He didn't intend to leave anything out. And these were all, he submitted the form essentially before he was ready to submit it. But that certainly always will raise a red flag, or always will raise a concern for the FBI. I asked about this in the White House briefing today, and there was a very swift pushback on the notion that there were any actual red flags, that is to say criminal or any hint of wrongdoing in Jared Kushner's record. But we do know that one of the major things they're looking for is anything that could subject a person to blackmail. And so, of course, any sort of business dealings with a foreign power, anything that involves, large sums of money and big transactions that are unexplained are going to raise, issues that the FBI is going to want to look into further.
Julie Hirschfeld Davis, the story's posted with the New York Times. Thank you very much. We're going to take this up with the panel. We're all cleared for it next.
We wrote the book on car pricing. For 90 years, we earned your trust as car value experts. Now, we're making you the expert with the Kelley Blue Book Price Advisor, a tool that analyzes what people actually paid for the car you want, so you can make sure you get into it for a fair price. Why pay more for your next car? Use Price Advisor, only from Kelley Blue Book.
My name is Jeff Sheldon, and I'm the founder of UgMonk. Before ShipStation, it was crazy. Like, it's great when you see, 100 orders come in, but then you realize I got 100 orders that I actually have to ship out. ShipStation streamlined that whole process. The order data, the weights of the items, everything is seamlessly put into ShipStation. So when we print the shipping label, everything's pretty much done. It's so much easier. So now we're ready, bring on the orders.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/TV and get 2 months free.
The closer you get to home, the more you know the commute is worth it. For all the work you pour into this place, you sure get a lot more out of it. You and that John Deere tractor, so versatile, you can keep dreaming up projects all the way home. It's a longer drive, but just like a John Deere, it's worth it. Nothing runs like a Deere. Now you can own a 1E subcompact tractor for just $99 a month. Learn more at your John Deere dealer.
American Dynasties, The Kennedys, premieres Sunday, March 11th at 9 on CNN.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to readers.com.
With more than 700 styles to choose from in powers ranging from 1.0 to 7.0. Readers.com also has readers hard to find in stores, like bifocals, sun readers, and computer readers. Choose from hundreds of fashionable styles and colors for under $20. Then just type in this coupon code at checkout, and you'll save up to 40% through this exclusive TV offer. Order now and we'll quickly deliver your readers right to your door. Plus, all of our readers are absolutely worry-free because they're backed by our 100% happiness guarantee. Save up to 40%. Get convenient, fast delivery and a 100% happiness guarantee. So go online to Readers.com to find your perfect pair of reading glasses for under $20. Don't miss this exclusive TV offer to save up to 40% now. Go to Readers.com and enter this coupon code at checkout. That's Readers.com.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
The breaking news just out in the New York Times tonight. Jared Kushner's battle to keep his access to highly classified material, putting him at odds with Chief of Staff John Kelly, wanting access even though he does not have a full security clearance. He's on a temporary security clearance and has been for the past year.
Anderson, isn't the problem nepotism? That's really what this is all about. Jared Kushner is not qualified for the job he's doing. His only qualification is that he's the president's son-in-law. He's a modestly successful real estate developer.
Of his father's company.
Of his father's company, you know, Lucky Sperm Club, and he seems to be he seems to be losing the fortune that he was given through this disastrous investment in 666 Fifth Avenue, which is leading to some of these problems because he's trying to get investors from China, from Qatar, where we have foreign policy issues. But the issue, this is why presidents shouldn't appoint close relatives to be their top advisors, because they can't be treated like everyone else. He shouldn't have this job in the first place, and who knows if he should have a security clearance. It's absurd that it hasn't been resolved one way or the other, but the idea that this person is in charge of the Middle East peace and the relationship with China is just absurd, putting aside the whole security clearance issue.
Well, also the lack of structure, and we all know the lack of structure in the White House has been a problem from the beginning about not having clearly defined roles, and certainly Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump fit in that of, like, what do they actually do?
Well, on many campaigns, you have family members and friends who want to be part of the campaign.